I want to talk about Bama, Clemson, or Notre Dame. They're good, best three I've seen, and they're not losing. Let's talk about the other teams that all have very similar resumes that are all trying to get the next spot. Michigan, Georgia, Oklahoma, LSU, Washington State, UCF. Last night, once again, people I know at ESPN were arguing about resume. Let's pick resume. And one smart man said, this is not about resume. All the resumes here are splitting hairs. Jesse Palmer.
Here's my problem with LSU. We're discussing one of these teams making the 4 seed to play Bama in the semifinal. Yes, I've seen LSU Bama.
Yep. Doesn't matter.
29-0. Yes, it does. And as a fan and as a committee, I don't want to see that again. So I don't want to see it again.
But the committee has to go resume and who's better.
But UCF, they can also go subjective.
UCF is the team that should go. Put UCF in.
Joey Galloway's wrong. Joey Galloway owned a company. He would not hire a man or a woman to run it based on resume. When Boston General has a surgeon opening, they all have resumes that are shiny and glossy and amazing. But that chief of staff looks a surgeon, one of them, man or woman, in the eye and says, that's who I'm going to put in charge of my heart clinic.
It's not the resume, it's the interview.
It's the interview. By the way, all these teams are splitting hair. Oklahoma is the one you should hire for the job. Okay? Oklahoma has 3 things that we know give Alabama trouble. Mobile quarterback, elite offensive coach, and playmakers. By the way, last time Oklahoma-Bama played, I forgot, Oklahoma won. Colin, what about their defense? Wasn't any good then either. The Oklahoma defense, they were in the Big 12. People were scoring a ton on them. Baylor scored in the 40s. A crappy Texas team scored in the high 30s. Schools in the middle of nowhere, Tech, scoring 30, 35. That great defense, Oklahoma, it wasn't great either. But they had the offensive mind, they had the quarterback that could move, and they had the playmakers. Everything they have now. By the way, Oklahoma leads the nation in points. Nobody's shutting them out. Okay, nobody's beating Bama, in my opinion. But Michigan quarterback Shea Patterson faced Alabama last year. Do a little homework. He lost 66-3. Michigan's offensive line, of all those potential 4 spots, is the weakest. Shea Patterson blown out by him. Stop talking about resumes. Everybody that applies to be an astronaut at NASA, they're all qualified. You're splitting hairs. Who are you putting in the vessel? Everybody that applies to Johns Hopkins, UCLA Medical Center, Boston General, the Cleveland Clinic, they're all qualified. Stop talking about resumes. They all have great resumes. What man or woman do you look in the eye and say, they'll get it done? I've seen all these teams play Alabama before. One got the job done. Oklahoma, star mobile quarterback, 50 points a game, playmakers, a coach NFL teams want. When you have a bunch of people, nobody ever ask yourself if you've ever hired. Do you give the best job to the resume? No, you give the best job to the interview. The person who you think over a cocktail at the end of the night, she could really get it done. She could really run my company. He's pretty smart. Maybe not the smartest, but I got a feeling in the room, in crisis, he'd be a step-up dude. She'd be a step-up woman. Jesse Palmer's right. I've seen a lot of these games with Alabama. I've also seen Bama and, again, Oklahoma run around quarterback, mobile quarterback, offensive playmakers, NFL O-line, guys in the league. That's a game. Not saying they win. That's a game. Joy Taylor with the news.
No.
Turn on the news. This is the Herd Line News.
So, Saints #1 in Herd hierarchy. They're rolling right now. They signed veteran wide receiver Brandon Marshall to a 1-year deal after Des Bryant went down with the injury. And this is the 7th team that Marshall has been on in his career. And It's leaving quite the impression on him. He said, it's a machine here from Coach Payton to Drew and everyone else. It's impressive. It's my 13th season, 9 offensive coordinators, my 7th team, and I've never seen anything like this. Marshall started the season with the Seahawks. He had 11 catches for 136 yards and a touchdown in Seattle. And, of course, Saints have won 9 straight and are first in the NFC South. But this is an interesting quote from him, being that he has been on so many teams and been around so many offensive systems.
Well, there's a lot of good and a lot of average in the world in every business. There's very little great, and the Saints offense is great. They have a great offensive coach. They have a great quarterback. They have 2 great running backs. They have Great is a very rare commodity, and New Orleans offense for about the last 12 years has mostly been great.
To me, the MVP race right now is between Breeze and Mahomes, and I'm giving the slight nod to Breeze right now. Obviously, there's a few more games to play to see how that,
works out,
pans out. But the Saints are playing amazing football right now. So Markelle Fultz has been having some obvious shooting issues this season.
Yeah.
Yesterday, his agent informed the 76ers that Fultz would see a shoulder specialist in New York to address the issue. However, GM Elton Brand said that this caught him off guard.
There's nothing that we saw medically that didn't allow him to play. He played last night. He played 2 nights ago. Ever since Jimmy Butler came and he wasn't starting, I felt he played pretty well. I was proud of him, the way he bounced back from a lot of things. I asked why Monday. He said that's the best time they could get an appointment. So I'm like, I thought they might move it up for him, but I guess not. So Monday's the appointment.
By the way, Elton Brand has not aged a day from Duke. He's the youngest looking 40-year-old guy on the planet. You know what? This is not a medical thing. It's a mental thing.
But sometimes the mental thing, you go to the medical thing to fix the mental thing. I don't know what's happening here. It's definitely the
I've never seen it. I've seen golfers get yips, baseball players get yips. Chuck Knobloch, Steve Sachs, St. Louis Cardinal guy, Rick Ankiel. I've seen David Duval. I've seen guys in golf. They just can't putt. They can't chip. I've never seen a basketball player, a shooter that can't shoot. I've never seen it.
I mean, sometimes it's just all in your mind. Like, to me, what separates great athletes from average athletes is the mental aspect of everything. Like, LeBron is an incredible physical specimen, but there are other humans the size of LeBron James.
Yeah, other guys in the league that look like him.
Right, that can't play basketball as well as he does. His knowledge of the game and ability to make those decisions,
discipline,
separates him from everyone else. Yeah. And that is what separates professionals from the guys that can't make it to the league. Sometimes obviously it's your body, but for the most part, everyone's a great athlete.
Kobe never had the NBA best body. Dwayne Wade had the perfect, and like Kobe's mind and passion and drive and commitment was what separated Kobe.
I'm not saying that Markelle Fultz isn't committed, but like, this is a serious thing.
Can you imagine doing this and not being able to talk? Like, I'm a talker for a living, and I came in one day and I was like,
that's actually, I've lost my voice a couple times.
But that's laryngitis. But I mean, it's
very problematic.
This is a basketball player who shoots.
Yeah.
And he can't now shoot.
I don't know. And it's apparent that the Sixers don't know what's going on either. Isn't that weird? He's right, though. Like, you bump a couple people up so he can get his appointment in. Yeah. Maybe just like come to his house or something. Figure it out. All right. Finally, last Monday, Kevin Durant and Draymond Green had the argument at the end of regulation against the Clippers. Yeah. They say they have since squashed any issues, but Durant admitted that he was rattled by all of the media attention. The night after the scuffle, the Warriors played the Hawks, and Durant spoke about how it was still affecting him. He said, during the game, I'm like, bleep, I'm going to have to say something about this. You've got so much BS that's being thrown your way that I didn't create. If I created all this stuff, then I couldn't be out here talking like this, but I didn't create any of this. I'm just out here playing. Yeah.
It's just amazing to me. In the last week, Kevin Durant's just been in all these battles and social media.
There's something going on here that's starting to brew, and that's probably why the rest of the locker room is having such a hard time moving on from this.
How do you react to him?
Well, I mean, there's got to be more. It can't just be KD and Draymond, because if it was, then the two of them, everyone would be like, all right, y'all two work it out. Like, we have basketball to play, but it's clearly affecting the entire team. Oh, Steph isn't around.
Never forget, after they won the title last year, David West, the veteran who retired, came out and said, you have no idea all the stuff going on in the last year in this locker room.
And that shouldn't be too surprising because they are really good at managing media. I mean, you look at the Patriots. That's why we've talked so much about Belichick and Brady this year, because you never hear anything from them. There's obviously stuff going on with every organization, but this is a thing that I think Kevin needs to understand. When you are the champion, something like this is going to get talked about incessantly. Like, with the media, like, this is a big deal. Everyone's coming for you. This matters.
Joy with the news.
Well, that's the news.
And thanks for stopping by.
The Herd Line.
A former NFL Defensive Player of the Year, a 3-time Pro Bowler, 40 sacks in his first 3 seasons, drafted by the Chargers in round 1. This is a good team. They've moved up the interstate. Sean Merriman, the former All-Pro linebacker, joining us. Haven't seen him in a while. You know, Joy just mentioned, and I'm not a big awards guy, I would give Drew Brees the MVP this year if he literally.